Happy Taco Tuesday, YouTube, on its dreary, crappy morning. And it brought with us some dreary, crappy results from the game before, or the game last night against Columbus. It's not that bad, but some troubling trends for the Leafs that I've noticed. They're getting scored on early and first in a lot of their games. I think most of their games this year, they've given up the first goal of the game, and a lot of it's been within the first couple minutes. And they did the same thing again last night. Marner got a little cute in his own zone, and I don't think he anticipated the pressure, and he got forechecked and stripped, and a little passing play by the Jackets, and it was 1-0 early on, and they did it again not much later, some loose defensive zone coverage, and somebody was just, I don't remember who it was, Foligno maybe, was able to just walk right out in front of the net and tuck it by Fred. And there we had a 2-0 hole early on in the game. Despite those two early goals, I felt over the first two periods the Leafs were by far the better team. They carried the edge in play. They carried the edge in zone time, and eventually in the first period they did strike back in the back half of the period. The first one was actually a shorthanded goal, which the Jackets actually first goal of the game when Marner had the turnover. That was also a shorthanded goal for the Jackets. But on the Leafs goal, they got a little 2-on-1 break with Marner and Kapanen, and Marner made a nice little pass to make amends for his earlier gaffe and slid it over to Kapanen, who put it in past Korpisalo and cut the Jacket lead to 2-1. And then not long after that, Johnsson, the Leafs were buzzing in the Columbus end for a bit, and Johnsson made a nice little slap pass towards the net, and Matthews just got a little piece of it to tip it in past the goalie, and it was 2-2. So then, yeah, like I said, the first two periods, other than the two goals the Jackets got, I thought the Leafs carried the play, especially their power play was buzzing, and Korpisalo really held them into the game, especially early on the early power plays. He made some really good saves. And eventually the Leafs would take a lead on a nice little bit of zone time again, and Nylander was Johnny on the spot right out on top of the crease when a pass from Johnsson came over to him after a sequence, and he was able to just tap it in. And the Leafs carried this 3-2 lead late into the game. And unfortunately, though, the third period, they just didn't show up. They kind of, I don't know, we're trying to coast it home or thought it was all locked down or whatever, but the third period they just didn't show up. They got outplayed grossly, and the Jackets were eventually able to tie it up, and there we went to overtime. Oh, God. In the overtime, the Leafs were, just like the Boston game, they took over the overtime. They were the better team by far. But and it looked like it was going to end the same way. As later on into the overtime, it was Matthews, Marner, and Riley out again with each other, and they were buzzing a number of times in the Columbus end, getting some chances. And then Matthews tried a little move, and he kind of got beat. And then the Jackets went the other way, and they'd been out for a while, so they were tired. Marner was trying to back check, and Riley was trying to keep his man in check, and they just couldn't. A nice little pass on a partial breakaway, and Marner Fred made the save, but Marner hooked him, and it was a penalty shot, and that was it. Fred got beat on the penalty shot, and game over. So the early goals are a trend that this isn't the only time this has plagued the Leafs. They had this trouble last year and the year before. They've had their stretches of this getting scored on early, and eventually they're able to sort it out. So I imagine that's going to eventually be coached out of them, or whatever the case. I think they're going to rate that. And then the not showing up in the third period, they did that same thing against that early season loss against Montreal, and they've done it a couple other times. And again, that's something else that will come with experience and coaching and preparedness, right? So I hate giving away points, especially to teams like Columbus, but these early season lessons, again, they're not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you hate giving away points, right? But I think they could be, good things for their growth and stuff in the end. And we'll see what happens. But now they're off to Boston where they play tonight, so that's going to be a big game. Hutchison's going to be in, but they put in a really gutsy effort against them on Saturday night. Hopefully have the juice to go tonight, and they can do the same sort of thing. And only time will tell. We'll see what happens tonight. Until then, have a great day. Stay warm, stay dry, and yeah, keep it fun. So long.